Hello and welcome back to Sam's on Wrestling, and it's our power rankings again today. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. How many presents have you got the people for Christmas today, Sam?
One. That is the most niche reference. If anybody at this moment, pause the video, if anyone else gets the reference and they got a bit of a clue from what the power rankings is today, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Sam, who are we looking at today?
Well, just give me past your one pack there.
It's a one barrel.
Yes, it's a strong
Who are we
barrel.
doing? What tag team are we doing today?
It is Miz and Morrison.
I
Sam.
love Miz and Morrison.
I was gutted when they broke up.
Yes,
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
The reference I was doing is from their hit show, The Dirt Sheets at Christmas, that was.
Yes.
Morrison had 6 Christmas presents. I have 1.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it at Christmas. They once did a Christmas dirt sheet, and that's why we're looking at Miz and Morrison today. So, if you are unfamiliar with the power rankings, Sam, would you like to remind the viewers of what a power rankings is?
So we take any wrestler, it can be a main eventer, tag team, or it can be a mid-card women wrestler, and we essentially rank them based on 10 different categories, and we give each of those 10 categories a score out of 10, giving us each a separate score out of 100. We put them together, and there's a score out of 200, and we rank them and say that that's where they are, because we have decided.
We have decided.
Yes. And these are
Decided.
decided.
That's
And these
How
are
Met Your Mother / meta reference.
what are the references today.
Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, especially at Christmas. It'd be a lovely Christmas present for us if you could do that for us. But we are looking at Miz and Morrison.
So, in our tag team rankings, we are going to start off with tag team wrestling abilities.
So, if anyone's unfamiliar because they haven't seen any others, these are not just them as an individual. We are not ranking Miz, we're not ranking Morrison, we're ranking them solely when they are together. So, when we talk about their tag team, we're talking about their wrestling ability together. So, tag team moves, how they build the structure, and
Chemistry.
that sort of thing, all that jazz. So, because we've talked about this before, just to remind us, like Jeff and Matt Hardy might have very different careers, but what are they together? So Miz and Morrison, wrestling ability, I think it's pretty safe to say that they're both probably about the same level of wrestler, actually.
Yeah.
I thought they were better wrestlers when they were a tag team.
Really?
I think Miz gets better, but the criticism he always got given was he was safe. And I that's safe with in quotations rather than, oh, that's good. It's you're safe. Morrison, I think, is the less good ability wrestler of the two, but could do much better moves. Together, though, I thought their chemistry was excellent in the ring. I thought they had some really good, cool double team moves. I've gone for a 7, actually, as a tag team.
I've gone with the 7 as well. I think you're absolutely spot on. I only really got the last bit of them when I was coming into it.
I got ECW.
Yeah.
I got the ECW reign, yeah.
And I think they're always a really good mix. I think in a tag team, you don't just want this. A lot of times, I think the Usos are great and Hardys, but in general, I don't think the same wrestler twice works. I think it's nice to have 2 different wrestlers.
And they are so different to each other.
But it works.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 7.
Next, we are moving on to their storytelling as a tag team. What kind of stories do they kind of tell in a match? Sam, what have you got for this one?
7 again, actually. Yeah, I think the heel stuff that they do. I felt a bit sorry for Morrison because he couldn't really do all his flippity-doo stuff because he was in the heel work. But that worked really well with Miz. So I actually think it kind of suited Morrison a bit more. I actually, when I think of their storytelling, I actually go a little bit more into the COVID era a little bit more than when they came back together.
They were quite good at that point.
Yeah, I thought they told better stories.
I was excited.
Apart from when they were in main event, like triple threat with Broad and Strowman.
That's weird.
Let's forget that happened.
It was a handicap match for the title.
But no, I actually like those stories that they tell in the ring.
Yes.
I have to admit, I think 7 is high from both of us. But the fact that we both give 7 says we kind of had the same sort of boat. I think there are better tag teams to tell better stories. But I think of the mid-average tag teams, particularly 2 were kind of just thrown together, I thought they told pretty decent stories.
I think they told good stories. And I think Morrison's high-flying moves, he almost pulled it off as like an arrogance, flashy
Yeah, that's what made it work.
showboat thing. It made it work psychologically. So I would absolutely go.
Question to you while we're at this point, because you didn't see a lot of them. Who do you reckon Morrison was better with? Eminem with Mercury or with The Miz?
Didn't really see him with Mercury.
Did you not?
It was
Right.
after my time, so I would always go Miz because I remember that.
It was weird because they had a better entrance and a better character in Eminem, but Nitro couldn't, well, at the time, Morrison couldn't work. Green as grass, right? And Mercury did all the work because Mercury's a decent worker. Here, I would say they were equal workers, but the character was less, even though I love the character. Very weird one. Morrison's in some tag team. So, yep, 7 for storytelling. Their promo ability, their ability to talk and all that stuff. Sam, where have you gone from promo?
I've gone 7 again.
Do you know what? I've actually got them at 8.
Okay.
And I'm actually changing my mind and I'm dropping it down to 7. Miz is a better talker than Morrison. Morrison got better, but he got better on his own. And he's definitely not... even when they came back together as a tag team, I still think Miz did all the heavy lifting. And we watched... But it's also early Miz.
Yeah.
And Miz ain't ready yet.
So you think Miz and you think,
Yeah.
great talker, but this is...
And that's
early.
what I've done. And I've realised, because we watched a couple of Dirt Sheet videos just before this, just to kind of like remind ourselves of a little bit more, just to kind of get back into the... We do that every now and then. And you do watch it, and they're clearly improv. They're improving the Dirt Sheets of the videos, but they're also... They are a little bit awkward at times. And then they say something really cool and funny and interesting, but then it's an awkward pause. So I think they also did good in-ring work when they had a script as well. They tell the script quite well. But yeah, I think I had 8. I'm going to drop that to a 7, I think.
I entirely agree with everything. I think, it's always the Miz is going to be talking more. Morrison had a bit of charisma about him, but it was all still a bit raw.
Raw is the correct word, even though they were on ECW.
So now we are going with the look, their physical appearance, their attire, how that blended together as a tag team. Sam, what have you got?
I've gone with a 7.
Same. I've just gone with quite a lot of 7s to start off with.
I think Morrison has left over from his tag team run with Eminem because he hasn't gone into singles yet. So I think he's got his leftover gimmick, and Miz has got his leftover gimmick. So you look at the look and you go, they don't look amazing. They don't look tag team. But because of the way they presented themselves, even though they were wearing different things, they looked a tag team. It's weird. I can't explain that.
No, I know what you mean.
They didn't look like a tag team. If they walked down the street, you would go, they're not a tag team. But then when they were together, you went, oh no, they are a tag team. They look it. I mean, Morrison looks amazing. Let's be honest. Because we always, when we do the female ones, a lot of the sadly have to talk about their appearance. Morrison was about his appearance. And that is a handsome man. His abdomen is sick.
He never lost that either.
And I say abdomen is sick, I mean sick in terms of the hip way of saying cool things. And also, no, it's sick. It's gross. It's actually gross. Like, wellness policy hasn't kicked in yet at that point.
It's possible to get that. It is possible.
Not at that point. He also because he got picked up in the wellness. But later, he looked great for so long, Morrison, as well, didn't he?
100%.
I think Miz looks great, actually.
And I get what you mean, because they have slightly different styles, but it's the same kind of style, just done differently. That's what makes it work. I always think tag teams can be lazy and just dress the same.
Yeah.
Because they're tag teams.
Because that is lazy, technically.
Yeah, it is lazy. And I think they had enough individualism about them. Especially so that when they split, you went, there could be a real feud here.
You're absolutely right. They were an individual who were a team, who then could become individual. That is how you make main events out of tag teams. You're absolutely right. Keep them individual, but make them coalesce together, and then still... Ooh, good, you.
Not just a pretty face.
You were a good YouTuber. You wrestling YouTuber, you.
This is why you pay me the money.
Ooh, I'll buy you lunch.
Yeah. So now we move on to their entrance. And Sam, what have you got for their tag team entrance?
There were 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't spectacular, but we talked about this last time. Most tag teams don't do anything massively interesting.
No.
And theirs was.
I feel like you save your best entrances for your main eventers, and tag teams never been treated as that.
Especially
to get them on quickly.
Especially 2005, 2006, 2007. Good grief. Tag team division is in the pits.
But I believe they still had the slow-mo thing, because Morrison was still doing that, and then Miz kind of did that slowly.
But I'm looking at their entrance from when they came back together. That's where their entrance became a thing, because that's where the slow motion you're thinking of. Yeah. So in the early stage, no. Later stage, yes. So their entrance from 2006, no, didn't have one. This entrance is the one. I actually preferred them. Sometimes even people who come out individually can still be an entrance, because it's like one entrance coming together. I think it's a 7. I think they're kind of their main event feel made their tag team in COVID look. At the end of the day, they got a world title reign to match. because they were an over.
Well, no, Miz did win the title when he was with Morrison.
Let's not talk about that.
I love the fact that he won that.
Oh, no, because they did it just so they could give it to Lashley, because they didn't want Lashley to beat Drew, and then Lashley beat Drew at WrestleMania bloody anyway, so they might as well just have Drew lose at WrestleMania. Morrison got released for a reason, and I believe it was because of Lashley beating Drew at WrestleMania 37 or whatever it was.
So now we move on to the heel, and Sam, what if you rank them as a heel? I mean, this is their speciality.
It's 8. It's an 8 heel. I mean, especially in this tag team era, I think they were better heels, actually, in the 2000s rather than when they came back in the COVID era. Their dirt sheets thing is great, and that's really heelish. They got time on ECW. It was a great idea to put them on ECW because they just got time to talk. It gave Morrison a chance to get some seasoning they desperately did. And it kind of took Miz away from the rubbishness that had been happening in his early SmackDown career. So it was the best thing for them. And it's just the heel work was really good. They were a tag team for a reason. They were the tag team champions for a reason because they were the most over team. And their stick with the dirt sheets is great.
I love the fact as well that I've given it an 8. I love the fact that they used the fact that they won a Slammy and kept bringing the Slammies around and treating it like a big deal. It's a tool that you can use, and people just bypass it at the week after the Slammies. They would be a team that would take that really trivial award really seriously and flex it in front of everyone and brag about it. And
that Christmas time they won the Slammy for Best Tag Team, they talked about it over and over and over again. It's great, and that's what you should do.
As a heel, you've used a prop to your advantage, not just bypassed it and actually used it. They're a great heel team.
Great heel team.
So next we move on to their work as babyfaces. Not renowned for their babyface work as a tag team.
Did they have it initially when they came back with COVID? Because Morrison was a bit of a face. Was Miz a face at the time when they came back?
I don't
before
think so.
They turned heel.
I think they were heels because I think I remember them bringing Morrison back in a backstage segment.
It just opened a door and it was Morrison.
And I was like,
that's as babyface as they're going to be. That's all I've got for a babyface because that was a babyface pop, and then it was I'm also heel.
Yeah, I thought that was such an underwhelming way to bring him back.
And then he got eliminated in 7 seconds at the Rumble because that was literally mere weeks before the Rumble.
Yeah,
so they brought him back, and then Brock just throws him out. Don't get me wrong; they clearly went, I can do a front flip over cool. And it was probably the coolest elimination that Brock did.
Oh, brilliant.
But at the same time, come on!
Yeah.
Couldn't you have fought Brock for a minute?
Yeah, I agree.
He was going to get arrested against Shelton and MVP anyway. Could you not? They got I've got him at a 3 because there's not much to analyse there. I think they've definitely done a tiny bit as a facey tag team, but we're talking moments. Yeah.
That noise you just made is exactly my thoughts.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. 3, fair enough.
Okay, so now we move on to their gimmick and their personality strong suit. I think for Miz and Morrison, what have you got?
I've got 7.
Okay.
I've gone 7. I assume you got something similar?
8.
Oh, fair enough. I could get that.
Yeah.
My brain went, is their gimmick better than some of the most famous gimmick tag teams of all time? No. So straight away they were out of the 9 and the 10 section. And I was like, okay, so then 8 is your top end. Are they the top end? No, I didn't have them at the top end. I'm marking them on their personality. And as we kind of just saw, the personalities were very raw. They weren't ready. And I don't think they got a chance to do massive personality when they returned, just pre and post COVID era. So I'm there going, great personalities. I'm definitely going ranking on the later, because that's clear where their personalities are shining. Could have gone 8 then, because they got the main event. They got a main event-ish feud. So you're like, ooh, they won the tag titles in the Elimination Chamber.
Yes.
That was the pay-per-view before COVID, I believe. So I was like, I could have gone 8. I think they're a 7, but I could understand 8.
Yeah, I've gone 8. I just think, especially in that era, they were very fresh and different. And you know what? Something about me actually is quite entertained by the rawness of them. I think there's something there. You just go, it's a bit more unpredictable, and sometimes less polish can actually be quite interesting to watch.
I think they split them up too early.
I did. I think they wanted to push Miz, which was fair, and they did.
They wanted to push Morrison. He was the one who went first.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he'd already won the Intercontinental title already at that point anyway. Again, as Nitro again, and he had some great matches with Jeff. Yeah, and then they put him into the tag team because he just couldn't hold the move. But he went to ECW to win the ECW title. He was the ECW champion when he got there.
Yeah, and then Vince didn't like tag teams, so he looked at them and liked them both, and therefore, they've got to split up and do the single stuff. And admittedly, they both had good runs.
Yes,
so they're great. Okay, fair enough.
The tag teams is the reason they got where they did. Quicker, anyway.
Yeah. So now we move on to the over/draw category. Were they getting reactions? Were they selling tickets? Were it merchandise, etc.? What have you got, Sam?
6.
Yeah.
Tag teams in the mid-2000s weren't getting much of a reaction, but they were the ones getting the reactions, I suppose. But who were they facing? Could you even remember a feud with them as tag teams?
They had WrestleMania 25. They unified the tag titles with Primo. Is it Primo and Carlito?
On the pre-show.
The pre-show.
Literally unified the tag titles pre-show.
Yeah. But I remember that feud.
But doesn't that tell you a lot?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Didn't even make the pre-show.
No.
That didn't even make the real show. Made the pre-show.
No.
I look at when they returned, and it was so lackluster that they actually didn't get themselves over that they could have done, and then they just released Morrison just really randomly.
It was a bit random.
So I just looked at it and went, how often could I back them to go, you are the draw, or you are massively over? And I think they had it in spells rather than
Yes.
a continuous run. And I think the minute you're in spells, you already are knocking yourself down that leaderboard.
Yeah, and I have got it as a 6 because I think you go, no one would complain if they're tag champions. You go, okay,
No.
solid tag team. Everyone's like, no one's, annoyed about them being there. There was a pop from Morrison. People were excited to see them back together for nostalgia. But you wouldn't go, oh, I'm going to watch this. What are Miz and Morrison doing this week? They're just there. They're solid. But that is a 6.
I wish I could have actually watched the triple threat ladder match that would have been at WrestleMania 36.
Yeah.
I wish they actually could have done that match.
Because didn't they do
Triple threat,
So
because
Morrison,
one of
Uso...
them got COVID. I can't remember which one got COVID. I think it's one of the New Day, but I wouldn't remember. And then it could have been Miz, to be fair. My brain actually might be telling me Miz. And then it was who did they pick to be in the match? And they picked Jimmy, not Jay. Which is really interesting. And then you look at the New Day and who are we going to pick from the New Day to be in the match? Let me remember. They won that match as well, I believe. I think Morrison won that match, didn't he?
I don't
retain
know.
the tag titles? I think they were still tag team champions when they took on Braun.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I know they definitely had a run as the tag team.
Yeah, well, they won it in elimination, but I actually think they won that match as well. But because they actually faked the camera angle because Jimmy got pushed off the ladder and they're like, are you going to remove the mat now because you recorded this 2 days ago and whatever? But yeah, just 6.
So now we finish with the finisher.
Always end on a finish.
How else? Sam, what have you given their tag team finisher? So this isn't individual, this is their tag team.
I think it's like a double wheelbarrow is the one I've seen the most of. Because I know they've done other little moves, but like I think they've definitely done things like Netbreaker into Starship Pain and stuff like that. But I think this is the one that I would say is the most tag teamy finishing move that they did. I've given it a 6. No, sorry, pardon me. I had it at 6. I've given it a 5 and more I watch it because I had 6 for the Starship Pain stuff. I went, very similar to the Hardys, but they didn't do it enough for it to be their finisher. I think the double hero was the one they did the most. So I've gone with 5 for this one.
I've given it a 6. I just think it's okay, but it's not that memorable.
No, it's not.
No one complains about it, but it's not amazing.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I wish they had it. They could have easily done a move that was really flashy.
Yeah.
And Morrison had already been in a tag team that had a finishing move, so surely you would have thought he would have pushed for a finishing move.
Yeah. Okay, and now to round it all up, we are looking at our individual scores. So Sam, out of 100, what have you given Miz and Morrison?
64.
64?
Yeah, 64.
Okay, I've given them a 70. I've got a bit higher. Maybe it's because they're my era, but I stand by 70.
To be fair, I marked most of the score based on their more current run rather than the middle run.
Yeah, that's true.
That gives them an overall score of 134. So let's see where they come up onto our tag team leaderboard. It's still very new, very raw, just like they were. And they've gone into the silver medal position. In second place, they've just pipped your primetime players.
Oh, just about pipped them. That's okay.
By 12 points, they're into second place with the 134. Still behind the Hardy Boys. Anyway, thank you for joining us here on our Power Rankings in Sam vs. Sam. We shall see you... it's coming up to our week Christmas build. We're doing an entire week of episodes during the Christmas, starting from the 24th all the way to the 31st. We do have a Christmas episode of the Power Rankings. Not very Christmassy. We're still going to be, not wearing Christmas outfits because bar humbug. But maybe Santa might be making an appearance.
Santa!